but your life does not. Oh my God.
Have a forever home. Oh my gosh!
Live TV is known for its unpredictability, and that's what makes it so exciting. When things go wrong, they often do so in the most ridiculous ways imaginable. From hilarious blunders to embarrassing slip-ups, join us as we unveil the most ridiculous and cringe-worthy events ever caught on live TV. The Jetpack Jester. When Fox 5 News decided to cover the San Diego yacht and boat show, they had no idea they were about to witness a spectacular display of unintentional comedy. The plan seemed foolproof. Have JetLev Southwest CEO John Morris promote the event by showcasing his company's impressive jetpack. But as the old saying goes, the best-laid plans often go awry. With the cameras rolling, John prepared to take off from the dock, his confidence as high as the jetpack was supposed to carry him. But instead of soaring majestically over the water like a modern-day Icarus, he promptly plummeted into the harbor with a resounding splash. The newsroom erupted in laughter as the anchors struggled to maintain their composure, their carefully crafted scripts forgotten in the face of such an unexpected blooper. But John, ever the consummate showman, refused to let a little water dampen his spirits. Rising from the depths like a phoenix, albeit a rather soggy one, he proceeded to fly around the harbor with all the grace and finesse of a jetpack jester. Determined to salvage the segment and give the boat show the publicity boost it deserved. And while the live shoot may not have gone according to plan, one thing was certain. John had just given the boat show a publicity boost that money couldn't buy. Canoe conundrum. When it comes to reporting natural disasters, journalists will often go to great lengths to get the perfect shot. But for reporter Michelle Kosinski, her attempt to capture the drama of a flooding crisis from a canoe ended up making waves for all the wrong reasons. The scene was set. Kosinski, microphone in hand, paddling through the seemingly deep floodwaters, her brow furrowed in concern as she described the devastation around her. It was a powerful image, one that was sure to drive home the severity of the situation. But just as Kosinski was hitting her stride, disaster struck. From seemingly out of nowhere, two men appeared from the background, casually strolling through the water as if they were taking a leisurely walk in the park. The only problem? The water barely reached their ankles. In an instant, the illusion was shattered. Kosinski's dramatic canoe ride suddenly looked less like a daring feat of journalism and more like a comical scene from a slapstick comedy. The interrupted interview. Video meetings and live television can be a volatile mix, as Professor Robert Kelly discovered during a now infamous BBC News interview. While the political science expert was analyzing the impeachment of South Korean President Park Geun-hye from his home office, his two young children made an unexpected appearance and stole the show. First, Kelly's 4-year-old daughter Marion marched into the room, arms swinging with confidence, and positioned herself next to her father. Kelly, ever the professional, attempted to gently push her away while continuing the interview. But before he could get her out of the frame, his 8-month-old son James rolled in on his walker, adding to the chaos. As if the situation couldn't get any more comical, Kelly's wife Jung-ah Kim frantically burst into the room, sliding on her socks in a desperate attempt to wrangle the children. She managed to grab the kids and pull them out of the room, but not before ducking and crawling to avoid being seen on camera. Throughout the hilarious ordeal, Kelly managed to maintain his composure, albeit with a few awkward smiles and glances at the closed door. The clip quickly went viral, with millions around the world laughing at the relatable moment. The disappearing chairman. Live interviews can be unpredictable, but for South African chairman Nalala Nene, a seemingly routine appearance on the political show SABC2 in 2008 took a turn for the bizarre when his chair quite literally gave out from under him. As Nene confidently fielded questions from the interviewer, expounding on his political views and plans for the future, there was no indication that anything was amiss. But little did he know, his trusty seat was plotting a sudden and dramatic betrayal. In a moment that can only be described as slapstick comedy gold, Nene's chair suddenly collapsed beneath him, sending the unsuspecting chairman plummeting out of frame and under the table. The interviewer, clearly caught off guard, could only watch in stunned silence as Nene vanished before his very eyes. But perhaps the most remarkable part of the whole ordeal was Nene's unwavering commitment to the interview. Just moments before the chair's collapse, it had let out an ominous crack, a warning shot that would have sent other men running for the hills. But not Nene. He soldiered on, determined to finish what he had started. Political punch-up. In the rough-and-tumble world of politics, tempers can flare and tensions can boil over. But rarely do we see those conflicts erupt into full-blown physical violence, especially not on live television. That is until a heated debate between two politicians in Georgia took a shocking turn that left viewers stunned. It all started innocently enough, with the two candidates trading barbs and accusations in a televised debate. But as the rhetoric grew more heated and the gestures more aggressive, it became clear that this was no ordinary political sparring match. Suddenly, without warning, one of the politicians reached for a glass and hurled it at his opponent. The other man, caught off guard, but not to be outdone, quickly retaliated with a flying glass of his own. In an instant, the stage was transformed into a chaotic battleground, with the two men exchanging blows and hurling objects as the moderator desperately tried to restore order. The moderator, who had been desperately pleading for order, was suddenly trapped in the whirlwind of fury. She attempted to shield herself while forcing her way between the men, but her efforts were futile. The chaos raged on for several agonizing minutes. Ear-licking surprise. Picture this. You're a news reporter, live on television, when suddenly your earpiece starts acting up. It's every broadcaster's nightmare, right? But what happened next took this reporter's bad day to a whole new level of cringe-worthy. A well-meaning production assistant, determined to fix the faulty earpiece, rushed to the rescue. But instead of simply adjusting the device, they decided to go above and beyond the call of duty. In a move that left the reporter visibly stunned, the PA leaned in and gave her ear a quick lick. Yes, you heard that right. An ear lick on live TV. The reporter's reaction said it all, her face a mixture of shock and disgust. It's safe to say that this was one technical difficulty she never saw coming. The incident quickly went viral, with viewers around the world cringing in unison at the PA's bizarre attempt at problem-solving. The awkward romance. In the world of ice dancing, grace, poise, and synchronicity are everything. But what happens when one partner's attempt at a romantic gesture falls flatter than a botched triple axel? Well, that's exactly what happened to one couple during a live event. A dazzling ice dancing duo had just finished their stunning performance and was basking in the glow of the audience's applause. Caught up in the moment, the female dancer leaned in for a celebratory kiss with her partner. Sounds like the perfect ending to a flawless routine, right? Wrong. In a twist that could only happen in the unpredictable world of live television, the male dancer had already started to move away, eager to greet the other ice dancers. The result? An awkward, one-sided kiss attempt that left the female dancer hanging, her lips puckered for a smooch that never came. The accidental affair reveal. In the world of sports, post-game interviews are a chance for athletes to thank their supporters, talk about their performance, and maybe even give a shout-out to their loved ones. But for one soccer player, an interview turned into a moment of accidental infidelity revelation that would make even the most seasoned telenovela writer blush. Meet Mohamed Anas, the soccer star who scored a major own goal off the field. After a match, Anas was basking in the glow of victory and the adoration of his fans. In the heat of the moment, he decided to express his gratitude to those closest to him. "I appreciate my fans, my wife, and my girlfriend." Wait, what? That's right, folks. Anas had accidentally revealed his secret affair on live television, thanking both his wife and his girlfriend in the same breath. The slip-up quickly went viral, with millions of viewers around the world watching in disbelief as Anas realized his mistake and tried to backtrack, stammering, "I mean my wife, yeah, sorry to say." But the damage was done. Anas had inadvertently turned a routine post-match interview into a dramatic confession worthy of a soap opera. The spacey reporter. In the cutthroat world of broadcast journalism, one tiny slip-up can make or break a career. Just ask Natasha Egglesby, the Australian journalist who found herself at the center of a viral blooper that cost her a job but ultimately launched her to new heights. It all started with a simple moment of distraction. Egglesby was hosting a live news segment on ABC when the cameras caught her spacing out, fiddling with her pen, and looking utterly lost in thought. Little did she know that the footage of her momentary lapse would soon spread like wildfire across the internet. The blooper quickly became a sensation, with viewers around the world chuckling at Egglesby's relatable moment of absent-mindedness. But for ABC, it was no laughing matter. Despite acknowledging that it was a simple human error, the network chose not to renew Egglesby's contract, effectively giving her the boot for a single slip-up. Many saw ABC's decision as harsh and unfair, arguing that male journalists had survived far worse blunders on air. Egglesby, for her part, took the setback in stride. She used the viral fame to her advantage, eventually landing a new gig hosting a sports show on Channel 10. Baby Elephant steals the show. When a rookie reporter set out to cover a story on elephant conservation at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust in Nairobi, Kenya, little did he know that he was about to become the story himself. As he stood in front of the camera, delivering his report on the important work being done to protect these majestic creatures, a mischievous baby elephant decided to steal the spotlight. At first, everything was going according to plan. The reporter was providing informative commentary on the Trust's efforts, while behind him, a group of adorable baby elephants frolicked in the mud and grass. But one curious little calf couldn't resist the lure of the camera and slowly began making his way over to the unsuspecting journalist. As the reporter continued his spiel, the playful pachyderm sidled up behind him and started nuzzling his back with its muddy trunk. The journalist, ever the consummate professional, tried to ignore the distraction and carry on with his report, but the baby elephant was just getting started. With a gleam in its eye, the calf began to probe the reporter's ear and neck with its trunk as if searching for hidden treats. The ticklish sensation was too much for the journalist to bear, and he finally broke down in a fit of uncontrollable laughter, his serious demeanor giving way to pure, unbridled joy. Treadmill tumble. Live TV interviews are a tricky business, with countless potential pitfalls lurking around every corner. But for one unfortunate man, a treadmill mishap turned into a viral blooper that left him red-faced and bruised, both physically and metaphorically. The incident unfolded during a seemingly ordinary live interview. As the reporter posed questions, a man in the background strolled towards a treadmill, blissfully unaware of the impending chaos. The treadmill, however, was moving at a breakneck speed. With a single step, the man's footing vanished, sending him tumbling shoulder first onto the unforgiving belt before crashing to the gym floor. This is surely a moment this treadmill tumbler would like to forget. The fly guy. Imagine you're in the middle of an important interview, trying to project an air of confidence and professionalism, when suddenly, disaster strikes. For one unfortunate man, that disaster came in the form of a tiny, buzzing interloper that turned his moment in the spotlight into a viral sensation for all the wrong reasons. The interview started off innocuous enough, with the man sitting across from the interviewer, ready to discuss the topic at hand. But just as he began to speak, a small fly buzzed its way into the frame, circling his head like a tiny airborne shark. At first, the man tried to ignore the winged intruder, but as the seconds ticked by, it became clear that the fly had no intention of leaving him alone. And then, in a moment that would go down in blooper history, the unthinkable happened. The fly, perhaps sensing its moment of glory, made a kamikaze dive straight into the man's mouth just as he was mid-sentence. The mic toss heard. Round the world. In the high-stakes world of professional sports, emotions can run high and tempers can flare. But rarely do we see those passions boil over, quite like they did when soccer superstar Cristiano Ronaldo had a run-in with a reporter during the Euro 2016 tournament. It all started as Ronaldo and his Portuguese teammates were taking a leisurely stroll near a lake in France, preparing for a crucial match against Hungary. Suddenly, a reporter from a Portuguese television channel that Ronaldo had a history of feuding with appeared, microphone in hand, ready to ask the star a question. But Ronaldo, clearly in no mood for an interview, had other ideas. Without warning, he snatched the reporter's microphone out of his hand and in a fit of pique, tossed it into the lake with a casual flick of his wrist. The reporter and his crew could only watch in stunned disbelief as their expensive equipment sank beneath the surface of the water, lost forever to the depths. Ronaldo, meanwhile, continued on his way, a small smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. The weather warrior. When it comes to reporting on extreme weather events, few journalists are as committed, or as dramatic, as Irish weatherwoman Theresa Mannion. As Storm Desmond battered the coast of Ireland in 2015, Mannion became an unlikely viral sensation thanks to her over-the-top reporting style and dire warnings to viewers. Clad in an all-black dress and battling gusts of wind that threatened to blow her off her feet, Mannion delivered a breathless report from the front lines of the storm. "Don't make unnecessary journeys," she shouted into the camera, her voice rising above the howling wind. "Don't take risks on treacherous roads, and don't swim in the sea." Her impassioned plea quickly caught the attention of viewers around the world, who were equal parts amused and impressed by her dedication to keeping the public safe. Within hours, clips of Mannion's report had gone viral, inspiring countless memes, remixes, and parody videos. A crappy situation. Live reporting can be an unpredictable business, with journalists often finding themselves in the middle of chaotic and uncontrollable situations. But for one unfortunate reporter, a routine live shot turned into a moment of pure, unadulterated disgust when he became the unwitting victim of a flying fecal attack. The reporter had been sent to cover a story about an unusually large gathering of Canadian brown finches in a local park. With the birds chirping and fluttering behind him, he launched into his report, explaining how the feathered fiends were causing problems for residents and the environment. But just as he was hitting his stride, the unthinkable happened. The reporter felt something wet and slimy hit his shoulder, and he looked down to see a white, gooey substance slowly oozing down his jacket. And when he thought things couldn't get any worse, another bird flew overhead and dropped a second load, this time hitting the reporter square in the face. The poop splattered across his nose and into his mouth, causing him to double over in revulsion, puking for publicity. When filmmaker Tyrone Davies agreed to appear on a local news program to promote his documentary about chimpanzees in space, he knew he needed a way to make his interview stand out. Little did anyone know, he had a plan up his sleeve that would make his segment unforgettable. For all the wrong reasons. As the interview began, Davies appeared to be the picture of professionalism, discussing his film and the importance of animal welfare in space exploration. But just as he was getting to the heart of his message, he suddenly turned a sickly shade of green and began to gag. The interviewer, who had been nodding along politely, suddenly realized what was happening. But before she could react, Davies hunched over and let loose a stream of blue vomit all over the news desk. The camera operators, who had been trained to expect the unexpected, quickly cut away to a wide shot of the studio, but the damage had been done. The interviewer sat in stunned silence, her face a mask of shock and disgust, as Davies continued to retch and heave. It wasn't until later that the truth came out. Davies had planned the entire thing as a publicity stunt for his film festival. He had guzzled down a half-gallon of blue vanilla ice cream before the interview, knowing full well that it would make him sick, the Cape catastrophe. It's no secret that live performances can be unpredictable, But for Madonna, a wardrobe malfunction at the 2015 Brit Awards proved to be a moment she would never forget, no matter how much she might want to. The pop icon had taken the stage to perform her hit song, Living for Love, clad in a dramatic matador-inspired costume, complete with a billowing cape. As she sang the lyrics, "I let down my guard, I fell into your arms," Madonna seemed to be in her element, commanding the stage with her signature blend of athleticism and artistry. But as the song reached its climax, disaster struck. When Madonna's dancers attempted to tear away her cape in a dramatic flourish, the fastening refused to give way. In a split second, the cape yanked the singer backward, sending her tumbling down a flight of stairs and onto the stage below. For a moment, the audience held its breath, wondering if Madonna had been seriously injured in the fall. But in true Madonna fashion, the pop icon quickly regained her footing and continued on with the performance, never missing a beat. Later, it was revealed that the cape had been designed by none other than Armani, a fashion heavyweight known for his impeccable tailoring and attention to detail. But as Madonna learned the hard way, even the most meticulous planning can't account for the unpredictability of a live performance. The hairy situation. There's an unspoken rule in live television that broadcasters must always maintain a polished and professional appearance. But for NBC reporter Matt Bradley, a moment of inattention during a live report from Syria led to a grooming gaff that quickly went viral. Bradley was in the middle of a segment on the region's ongoing conflict when the camera suddenly cut to him without warning. Caught off guard, Bradley was seen using his own saliva to slick back his hair, apparently unaware that he was being broadcast live to millions of viewers around the world. The moment was brief, but it was enough to set the internet ablaze with commentary and memes. Some viewers were shocked by Bradley's unconventional grooming method, while others found the moment oddly relatable. After all, who hasn't had to improvise in a pinch when it comes to their appearance? To his credit, Bradley took the incident in stride, later joking about the moment on Twitter and even embracing the memes that sprang up in its wake. The explosive experiment. Live science demonstrations can be a risky proposition, as the hosts of an Australian morning show learned the hard way during a segment on the classic Diet Coke and Mentos experiment. The experiment, which involves dropping Mentos candies into a bottle of Diet Coke to create a dramatic geyser of foam, has been a staple of science classrooms and YouTube videos for years. But when the show's resident scientist decided to up the ante by having co-host Natasha Belling participate in the demonstration, things quickly took a turn for the explosive. Belling, who admitted she hadn't been paying close attention to the initial instructions, was tasked with holding the bottle of Diet Coke and flipping it over at the crucial moment when the Mentos were dropped in. But as the candies hit the soda and the reaction began, Belling lost control of the bottle, sending it careening towards her face at breakneck speed. In a split second, the bottle exploded, narrowly missing Belling's head and sending a geyser of foam and soda shooting into the air. The force of the blast was so powerful that it even managed to take out a nearby tree branch, leaving Belling and her co-hosts stunned and splattered in the aftermath. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Wardrobe malfunctions happen, but when they happen on live TV, it's the stuff of cringe-worthy legends. Just ask Italian newsreader Marica Fruscio, whose on-air experience went from professional to mortifying in a matter of seconds. During a live broadcast, her low-cut dress decided to go rogue, leaving her blissfully unaware of the unfolding fashion disaster. By the time she caught on and attempted a rescue mission, the damage was done, broadcast for all to see. What are your thoughts on this embarrassing incident? Share your opinions in the comments. The classic car catastrophe. When it comes to live television, there's an unspoken rule that reporters should always maintain a certain level of professionalism and decorum. But for Sacramento reporter Angel Cardenas, a live segment at a classic car auto show quickly devolved into a cringeworthy display of inappropriate behavior. Cardenas, who was supposed to be previewing some of the show's most impressive vintage vehicles, apparently took his role as a car enthusiast a little too far. With no one else around to stop him, he began touching and even climbing on top of the priceless automobiles, mugging for the camera and cracking jokes along the way. But what may have seemed like harmless fun to Cardenas quickly turned into a PR nightmare for his station. As soon as the segment aired, viewers began flooding the station's phone lines and social media accounts with complaints about Cardenas's unprofessional behavior. Many pointed out that the classic cars on display were often one-of-a-kind artifacts, lovingly restored and maintained by their owners over the course of many years. To see Cardenas treat them like his own personal playground was not only disrespectful, but also potentially damaging to the vehicles themselves. The singing anchors. Forget American Idol. The real singing talent is on the Weather Channel. South African news anchors Jasmine Brooks and Chris Langlois had a moment of distraction on live TV that led to a moment of pure, unbridled joy that captured the hearts of viewers around the world. It all started during a commercial break on the Eyewitness News program, when Brooks and Langlois, thinking they were off-air, began belting out a rendition of Ariana Grande's hit song, Side to Side. With their microphones still on, the two anchors harmonized and bopped along to the music, their faces lit up with the kind of pure, unadulterated happiness that can only come from a spontaneous moment of musical bliss. Little did they know, however, that the cameras were still rolling, capturing every note and every shimmy of their impromptu performance. As they continued to sing, their colleague Stefano Di Pietro looked on in confusion and amusement, trying in vain to get their attention and let them know they were still on air. But Brooks and Langlois were lost in the music, oblivious to the fact that their every move was being broadcast to thousands of viewers across the country. It wasn't until they finished their song and looked up to see the stunned expression on Di Pietro's face that they realized what had happened. Hurricane Heckler. Reporting live from the scene of a natural disaster is never easy. But MSNBC's Shaquille Brewster found himself facing an unexpected challenge in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. As he stood in the storm-ravaged streets of Mississippi, delivering an update on the destruction, an agitated man suddenly emerged from a nearby truck and began hurling verbal jabs at Brewster and his crew. But Brewster remained cool and collected, continuing his report even as the heckler grew increasingly hostile. The man's motives were unclear, but his behavior was erratic and threatening, leaving viewers on edge as they watched the tense encounter unfold. But Brewster wasn't about to let the interruption derail his broadcast. With the poise of a seasoned journalist, he calmly pivoted away from the man, never missing a beat in his reporting. It wasn't until the heckler got right up in Brewster's face and physically shoved him that Brewster was forced to cut the segment short for his own safety. The Blackface blunder. When it comes to issues of race and representation, live television can be a minefield. A fact that former Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly learned the hard way during a segment on her NBC talk show in 2018. The segment in question was a panel discussion on the appropriateness of wearing blackface as part of a Halloween costume. Kelly, who had recently made the move from Fox News to NBC, seemed to defend the practice, suggesting that it was acceptable as long as it was done in the context of a specific character or person. Her comments quickly sparked outrage on social media and beyond, with many accusing Kelly of perpetuating racist stereotypes and minimizing the harmful history of blackface in American culture. Some even called for her to be fired from her new NBC job. To Kelly's credit, she issued an apology the following day, acknowledging that her comments were insensitive and hurtful. But the damage had been done, and just 2 days later, NBC announced that it was canceling Kelly's show, citing the controversy as the reason for the decision. The Kanye effect. It was supposed to be Taylor Swift's big moment. The young singer had just won the award for Best Female Video at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards for her hit song, You Belong With Me. As she took the stage to accept the award, the crowd cheered and applauded, eager to hear her acceptance speech. But just as Swift began to speak, A figure emerged from the shadows, bounding up the stairs and onto the stage. It was none other than Kanye West, the notoriously outspoken rapper known for his brash behavior and unpredictable antics. Without hesitation, West grabbed the microphone from Swift's hand and delivered a now infamous rant. "I'm really happy for you. I'ma let you finish," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. But Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time. Swift, visibly shaken, stood awkwardly at the side of the stage, unsure of what to do. Beyoncé, who was nominated for the same award, looked on in disbelief from her seat in the audience. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.